Hey everybody, Dr. Dan here, and I am your history professor for world history from 1500, and that is listed as History 1060 at the University of Toledo. So, welcome to class. And before we get started, let's go through the basics real quick. Again, my name is Dan French, Dr. Dan, whatever you want to call me. And you can get in touch with me via my cell phone. So my number is 419-345-7220, and that is listed on the syllabus, which I hope you'll read. And you can text me or call me anytime. Well, on the call me anytime part, middle of the night isn't really good. But if you do text me, which is what I prefer, let me know what class you're in and your name, because I have a lot of students and it'll help you quicker. So there's that. And then my email address is Daniel, Daniel, French, French, like the language, at utoledo.edu. So you can email or text me anytime. And I encourage you to do something. If you're having issues with something, or maybe you're going to be late, which you can't do, but you will anyway, stay in touch and everything will work out fine. Okay, as far as late goes and class policies and that sort of thing, this class requires a textbook. It's called The Essential World History, and it is something you will purchase with a product called MindTap, which is the Cengage is the publisher, which is their textbook e-resource bundle, and it's tied into Blackboard, and you have to have it to get through our course, because all of the readings you will be doing will be online through MindTap, or at least most of them, and if you don't have access, you'll be in trouble. So buy that. If you go to the bookstore and you see one required thing and one optional thing, the optional thing is something they call Cengage Unlimited, which is like a subscription to all of the Cengage textbooks. So if you're using other Cengage textbooks on campus, it might be a better deal to buy that subscription, because then you have access to what you need for our class and for your other classes. But that's about all I know about it. So I know you don't need both things. The required thing is the Essential World History 9th edition, and that comes with MindTap. It's an access code, and you have to have those. And also, while we're on the subject, all the readings are done through MindTap, through Blackboard, and so you need to know how to do that stuff. And generally, technology is not a good excuse with me. It's 2020. We should know how to get around on a computer at this point. And that's all I'll say about that. So figure it out, but it appears to be really easy. I mean, I'm an old guy, and I figured all this stuff out as far as readings go and how to access it through Blackboard. So do your best. If you have any trouble, either contact Blackboard support or let me know. So there's that part. When you do get the book, The Essential World History, Volume 9, or 9th edition, I guess, please note that we're starting at Chapter 14. This is a text that covers like all of world history, and we're only doing 1500 forward. So we start at Chapter 14. So if you get the book and you're enthusiastic, don't spend a lot of time on the early chapters, because we're not going to cover them. So there's that. I'm going to get a drink of water. Hold on. Okay, so as far as grading goes, how do you do well in the class? Am I going to get an A, an F? What's going to happen? You're not going to get an F unless you don't do anything. Every student in my classes everybody starts with an A. So you have to screw up pretty bad. And I'm really straightforward about this stuff. I don't like grades. I really don't. But at the same time, we have to do something. We have to make sure that you're doing the work. And the reason we have to make sure is because there's like actual learning objectives that come out of this class. And when you look at the syllabus, you'll see these things called course learning objectives, and you'll be like, what the heck are these? And in the big picture, it's the reason you're paying money to take this class, and to help you become better as far as information literacy goes, and to help you understand your world better, and to help you in context with other things. So if you're in healthcare, you study history. History of healthcare is real interesting, but also history teaches you how to research and be accurate as far as citations and notes and, hey, did this really happen? So there's a lot of reading and looking at sources and trying to confirm information that you should find useful. And so that's the point of the class, that we're going to learn some stuff and hopefully have some fun also, because our world is like totally a mess right now, and we need to figure out how it got this way, and the best way to do that is to look backwards, but in this case not too far backwards, because we're starting at 1500. So that having been said, that's all the housekeeping stuff. You know how to get in touch with me. You have to get the book. Now, as far as what we're studying is concerned, and how this thing all works, I was talking about grades. We have quizzes and we have essays. Okay, quizzes are always worth 50 points. Essays are always worth 200 points. And there's something due almost every week, but none of it is going to take too much of your time. So you have to look at the syllabus. The bottom line is the quizzes can be anything. Generally, they're going to be maybe like 5 multiple choice questions that kind of keep you focused on what you should be taking out of the readings. Sometimes there'll be one question, it'll be a short answer. Sometimes they'll be matching, but typical quiz stuff. Again, there's a lot of these in the course. I think there's 8 quizzes, so if you tank one of them, it's not the end of the world, and you have plenty of opportunities to make it up. And I'm easy to get along with. So the quizzes are one thing. I do a video every week like this on a chapter, so I will tell you probably what's going to be on the quiz. So you need to watch the videos if you can stand it. And then the essays. There are 3 of them, 200 points each. They're not very long. We're talking a few paragraphs with a real tight rubric. And if you haven't used a rubric before, basically just means look at the rubric, follow directions, you'll get an A. So good to go. These real short essays, not too, shouldn't be too taxing for you. And you have a week every time to do everything. So to write a paragraph or 2 in a week is not a big deal. And I'm looking forward to reading them. As far as what we're doing, this world history from 1500, that's not very long ago. So we're not, what are we talking in years? So 1500 to 2000, right, is 500 years. So half a century, and it goes pretty fast. But it's an incredible time, and I think so here. Why is 1500? Why is this an incredible time? Well, so, between 1500 and now is like just the technology piece alone. And by that, I don't mean computers, but I mean, the caravel, right? The sailing ship that allows, Europeans to start to travel. And the big theme of these first 4 chapters of our book is really New World patterns. So a lot of it is about travel, and travel is facilitated by navigation technology and by ships, and by capitalism in a way, or at least greed or mercantilism, a desire to get rich by going out and exploiting stuff. So early on in the 1500s, it was spices. And then, 1492, Columbus, so the New World changes everything. And so we're going to read about that stuff. And the one underlying theme here that's really appropriate is biology is a big deal, because when we read about the New World and we read about Columbus and the Native Americans and smallpox, we understand that sometimes as humans we think we have everything under control, and usually biology, and I would argue geology, sort of decide what really happens to us, and meteorology to some extent. So anyway, that first 3 chapters, Emergence of New World Patterns, is cool. So that's like Columbus and biology, and Hernan Cortez, the guy who goes into what is today Mexico and conquers the Aztecs, and Islam and the spice trade over in the Indian Ocean. And I mean, there's so much stuff. Modern warfare, really kind of, muskets and cannons and that sort of stuff comes up during this time. And you'll read about the Ottoman Empire and the modern warfare there with the Turks and Constantinople. And it's really kind of fascinating. And then the Reformation. I mean, if you're not a historian or you don't care about this stuff, you don't know what the Reformation is, or you don't care about it. But it was a big deal because, prior to the 1500s, Christianity was around for sure, but it was all the Catholic Church, and which meant they kind of controlled. This is before the press. They sort of controlled the writing and the Bible, and if you know about Catholicism versus the Protestant split off, you know the differences there, and we'll get into that. But anyway, 1517, Martin Luther, the 95 Theses. So that's a fascinating history we study in this beginning part, and then the Gunpowder Empire of the Mughals in India, something you've never heard of, which is fascinating. And then this section of these 4 chapters ends at the intellectual revolution in the West. It's pretty westernized. And then our next big group are these chapters 19 through 25, which are cool. So, I mean, industrialization is the big thing. So the Industrial Revolution starts in Britain in the, I could argue the late 1600s, but 17, 1800s, and then around the time that the Civil War ends here in the U.S., the Industrial Revolution kind of picks up in the West, and we we as Americans, if you are an American citizen, we sort of, take over with industrialization and war and become a superpower and pollute everything. But we're not alone because, we know what happens. So U.S. emerges, colonialism emerges, and then we get into these 2 big world wars, World War I and II, which have a profound effect on our world, and we'll read about that. And then finally, we end this course with the last, I think, 2 chapters officially. And so the big stuff since 1945, which is where this 3rd period kind of starts. That's after World War II. The Cold War dominates everything. So the Cold War, the rise of nukes, right? Nuclear power, the space race, Apollo, Sputnik, all that cool stuff. And, Jimmy Carter and the oil crisis in the 70s and how that changes everything. And then China is an amazing story. So the rise of China to be sort of the manufacturer for the world is a big deal, especially when you consider the ideological difference between China and the West, meaning us and Western Europe. And I'm talking about sort of this capitalistic versus communism type societies, but this interesting communism in China where capitalism is sort of the underlying framework or the profit motive, if nothing else. So it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a long course. I'm sorry the video took so long. But if you have any questions, let me know. Start out by reading the syllabus this week, and then make sure you get the book. And then week 2, you're going to get right into chapter 14. And so you'll read a little bit about Columbus and that sort of stuff. And I wish you all the luck in the world. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.